to LabGab, a live stream variety show that showcases events, destinations, and different talents across Second Life. I'm your host, Strawberry Linden. Today on our show, we have Artemesia Sandgrain and Nova Conundrum of IndieCade Oasis. Welcome to the show, Artemesia and Nova.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you.
It's great to have you guys. I'm so excited to learn more about IndieCade, and I'm gonna ask you about that in a minute. But before we get into talking about that, Artemisia, I know that you are a co-founder of IndieCade. Can you tell us more about your role there?
Yes, and for people who know me, my real life avatar is Celia Pierce, and
Yes.
I'm one of the co-founders of IndieCade. We started IndieCade we started working on it back in 2005, started doing showcases in 2007, and launched our festival in 2008. So we've been around a while, and we've been a really active part of the growth of the indie game scene.
Nice. And what about you, Nova? How are you involved with IndieCade?
Well, I've previously been an attendee every year, although I was thinking about it, and actually one year, a couple years ago, I was involved when I was a last minute replacement. I got to give the Game Changer Award to a friend of mine,
Oh.
Rami Ismail. So I have been a long time attendee. I got hooked up with this year because it's my husband who is activities co-chair for IndieCade. And I guess we'll get to this in a second, but when Celia mentioned the possibility of bringing IndieCade into Second Life, I was so excited. And Ted mentioned that's my husband, sorry,
Mhm.
Ted. Ted mentioned my name, and that's how I got hooked up with it this year because Celia and I are both just such fans of Second Life.
I
Well,
think that's a,
mhm. Go
I'm
ahead,
sorry,
Celia.
that
Go
I
ahead,
was just
Artemisia.
going to say, I think that's a good segue into kind of why we decided to do this, which I think was your next question.
Yes, absolutely. Well, first I want to give a big shout out to Ted because you did a great job here with the region and everything, and I'm glad that he got you involved in this. So, tell us more about IndieCade. What is it, and who typically attends?
IndieCade is an independent game festival. We usually host one festival and sometimes two festivals a year. The last few years, we've been having a second one in Europe, and as well as showcases. We host the Indie Showcase at E3, which we've done since 2007. And IndieCade is kind of a distinctive among the different festivals out there because we are open to the public. So most of the video game festivals that are out there, at least in the US, are part of industry events. And so you can't really go to them if you're just a fan. So that's a really important differentiator. We're also not part of another medium. So, for instance, a lot of festivals also have, film festivals might have a game component or just games.
Mhm.
And we have a really broad um, interpretation of what that means. We have a lot of video games, but we also have other kinds of games. For instance, we do a lot with alternate controllers. We were one of the first people to show mobile games before anybody else was showing them. We actually have been involved with Oculus for a number of years, helped them
Oh.
to develop traction with the VR content creator community. And actually, the first place that was able to try an Oculus headset was at the IndieCade E3 booth when the DK1 was just out.
That's right.
Oh,
That's
wow.
right.
And so Ted, Jen's husband, I'm sorry, Nova's husband, actually works for Oculus now, but for many years he's been involved in IndieCade activities. And usually at the festival, we have an exhibition of finalists, we have an award ceremony, which Nova alluded to earlier, and we also have a conference, but we also have something called activities. And activities are usually play activities. Sometimes they're game jams or mini game jams. Ted pioneered something called the Flash Jam, which is a cross between a flash mob and a game jam. We have big games and large scale group games, and we have a night games event. And I was sort of frustrated because this year we went online with IndieCade Anywhere and Everywhere. And the one thing that we didn't have was a play space. Most of our conference is going to be hosted over Zoom and Twitch.
Right.
But I was like, where are people going to be able to play and where are they going to be able to be creative? And I thought Second Life would be a perfect place for that. So that's kind of what inspired me to bring IndieCade and Everywhere here.
We're so excited to have you guys. Sorry, Nova, were you saying something?
Well, I'm sorry, Artemesia just touched on a couple different things. So I really love IndieCade's emphasis on accessibility is a big part of it, and Artemesia touched on that with the controller, one button controller stuff, and yeah, I just wanted to emphasize. I just wanted to piggyback off of what Artemesia said and really bring attention to a lot of the details that she just included. So, yeah.
That's great.
So
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, so we are really all about innovation. That's kind of our hallmark. And so I was trying to figure out an innovative way to utilize the fact that we're online and that many people from around the world can come and they don't have to travel. And so that's what made this kind of, for me, a really obvious venue for us to have.
Well, and you were just talking too about how IndieCade was sort of on the vanguard of Oculus VR. The indie games community is so important to Oculus because that is who create innovative content, and that is exactly who people like my husband are trying to court when they are creating new VR content. This is all very new.
Right.
And it's amazing to think that, Second Life just celebrated its, what was it, 15, 20 year, 17th year
Yes.
anniversary. And it's still very much fresh and still very much on the forefront of all of this stuff that we're talking about.
Absolutely. Yep. Very true. So what do you think the appeal is for independent games? It feels like there is a strong appreciation for the independent gaming community given its diversity of gaming styles and narrative content often overlooked in the mainstream games. So what do you think is the appeal?
Yeah, I think you just hit the nail on the head. I
Right.
mean, when we've shown our games at E3, I always like to talk about the contrast between what we show in our booth. So one thing is that if you look at our booth at E3, we usually have about 20 to 30 games. And the cost of producing our entire booth's worth of games is less than any one game elsewhere on the E3 floor.
Wow.
So that's one thing, is that they're much more bootstrapped in terms of resources. The second is that almost all the games you see in the mainstream now have a number after them. There was one year where I walked around the show floor and was like, there literally wasn't a single game that wasn't a sequel.
Right.
And yeah, we show sequels once in a while or reboots, but for the most part, everything that we're showing is original.
Right.
And then there's the diversity of both audience and creators. There are many, many more people playing games than the mainstream video game seems to acknowledge or want to support. And so the games that we show tend to have a very broad appeal. And also, we really support diversity of creators. And we feel like diversity of content is a bridge to diversity of creators. So rather than thinking about it, we're looking for different people because we want their picture, it's because of what they have to say. That's where the diversity is really key to us, is different voices telling different stories.
Right.
And so I think there's a lot there for people, and often for people who don't like games. Like my sister, who's not really at all a gamer, has come to IndieCade a few times, and there's always a game that she just hooks into and goes, this is amazing. I didn't even know games could be like this. And that's really kind of what we're going for.
That's
Fresher
exactly
content.
right.
Yeah.
Gamer, quote unquote gamer, scare quotes gamer, is such an arbitrary designation. And there's such a diverse audience for games, to Artemesia's point about her sister. And I think that that is the group that we are always, always trying to reach.
And on top of that, people that self identify as gamers, there also are a group of people that are connoisseurs. So, I love uh, Black Panther and I like a lot of mainstream movies, but I also love indie films.
Right.
And so there are many, many people that, would identify as hardcore gamers, but they love to play Monument Valley or they love to play, Journey or other kinds of games that are not that kind of stereotypical mainstream game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
it's part of games literacy, isn't it? Being literate in indie games is being literate in video games.
Yeah, and also if you compare games to other media, I mean, look at television right now. Think about the diversity of voices and stories and even genres and formats. Everybody is experimenting right now with, do we really need to make, a show this length? Ba-da-ba-da-ba. Um, the game industry has that same level of innovation. And I think we want to build that diversity of voices and audiences. Exactly.
Great. Yeah.
So part of the events, part of one of the events is an awards competition. What type of awards are given at the IndieCade for entrance?
It's funny, we've evolved the awards over time because one of the things we find is as the game industry evolves, we also have to update the awards. So an example of one that's come up recently in the last couple of years is we have a performance award, which we never had before. But the reason is because we started seeing many more games with live actors and including theater, like immersive and interactive theater, as well as video, things like Her Story. Those kinds of games made us realize, oh, performance in games is now a thing that we want to honor and acknowledge. We have now a category that's more focused for like immersive and site-based work. We like I said, we sort of evolved. There's a few things that we still have that have persisted, like audio design, interaction design, game design. Those are all categories that have persisted, but other ones that have evolved over time based on what the current trends are and what's really coming to the fore.
And then there's the Game Changer Award that I mentioned earlier, which takes time out to really applaud people who have done a great deal for the indie games community at large. And that's really important too, I think, to put a spotlight on people for whom community, and because supporting the community is supporting indie games development,
Right.
it's so important.
It's important to recognize people's contributions for sure.
And
That's great.
that's one of a handful of honorary awards that we have. And the honorary awards are really important because, as Nova pointed out, there are people that are very influential who aren't necessarily getting awards for making games. So, for instance, last year, the Game Changer Award went to Game Devs of Color. And we gave them that award for organizing a conference, a thing for which there is no award that I know of. Like,
Right.
you can't get a conference organizing award, right?
Right.
We also have the Trailblazer. That is usually a person who's a game designer, but particularly we like to honor people that we see as having started a new genre. So, for instance, Elon Lee, who is one of the people that started the ARG genre, or Rand Miller, who created Myst, which is being honored somewhat by our Mysterious Woods here in the Second Life build. People like that getting awards. We gave it to Tale of Tales a couple of years ago. So that's for people that really have, done something in game design that's been really impactful. And then we also have a something we call the Big Fun Award, which honors Bernie DeKoven, who was very involved in physical games. So that's for people that have evangelized large scale physical games and integrating technology with physical interaction. I can't remember. We have one more, but I'm blanking out on what it is.
This is
The
great.
trophies
Hmm.
themselves are beautiful works of art, I want to say. Celia, will you remind me, there was a specific creator who was building the trophies for many, many years.
Yeah, so I actually curate the trophies, so I'll take that as a compliment.
Oh.
For many years, we had I usually hire Etsy designers to do the trophies. This year, we're doing something a little bit different, but typically we'll hire a crafts person, an artisan, to create the trophies. So the person you're referring to is Will Wagonar. He passed away a couple of years ago, but for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, he was doing our trophies, and he made robots
Right.
out of recycled parts like teapots and cameras. And he had one
Wow.
made out of a Viewmaster one year, I remember. And then the last couple of years, we've had Katie Diaz, who's a designer from the UK, and she creates fabric. I wanted to do something with fabric, I think, because I think I wanted to move in kind of a feminine direction. So we ended up with these kind of steampunk little characters that are really sweet, that are all, soft sculpture. With sometimes they'll have a little bit of recycled electronics, upcycled electronics integrated. And I'm not going to say what we're doing this year, but it's going to be a little bit different than what we've done in the past.
That's fascinating. Do you guys have pictures of any of these on your website or anything? So just kind of like a record?
No, but actually, my book, which was published or is being published today,
Oh,
has quite a few pictures of them actually in it.
where can people pick up your book?
It's being published by ETC Carnegie Mellon Press, and I think it's going to go on sale like sometime in the next couple of hours.
Oh, wow. And we can search for it where on just Amazon or
Uh,
something or
Probably the best place to look, and we have to get the websites all connected up, but you can go
Mhm.
to ETC Carnegie Mellon Press
Mhm.
and look up the book. It's called IndieCade, A History.
Oh, nice.
Or we actually are going to have an IndieCade website for it up in the next 24 hours or so, and that is just www.indiecade.com/a history.
Oh, nice. So maybe
That
I can
is
link to it. That's amazing. Yeah.
fabulous. Congratulations.
Thank
Congrats.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's wonderful.
it's about the history of the festival.
That's great. It's really interesting. I think I'm going to have to look into that. So for this year, the theme is Anywhere and Everywhere. We have the poster behind us and is held across multiple platforms, like you said, on the internet, including Twitch, Zoom, Discord, and of course, we have our version here in Second Life, the component. Can you share a bit about what that is specifically? What can people do in the IndieCade Oasis region within Second Life? I cammed around a minute ago, but I'll do it again while you're talking.
Well,
Great. Well,
I was going to
yeah.
say,
Mhm.
I'm going to let Jen do the bulk of the talking here, but I just wanted to say that, like, part of what I wanted was a playful space for spontaneity where people could just hang out and chill and
Mhm.
also play in different ways, as well as experimenting with creation. And we had talked about a few other virtual environments, but the reason we ended up really sticking with Second Life was the fact that you can make stuff with other people in real time in the virtual world, which is a very unusual characteristic here.
All right.
So from there, I think I'm just going to hand it off to Jen because she sort of took that and rolled with it in a big way.
I'm terrible at speaking extemporaneously, but
You can do it.
so jump in anytime,
Mhm.
Artemisia. But we have a visitor.
Okay.
Um, but it was my husband who, when we were setting up the sandbox area, and I was filling a vending machine with freebies for people to be able to use. In the past, we've had flash jams, and people reach into a real life box of props, and there might be kazoos or chalk inside of that box of props. And people have a set limited amount of time to create a game for others to play. And after time's up, everybody shows off the games and the rules that they've created using this box of props. So I was filling a vending machine full of old school Second Life freebies, like a snowball thrower
Mhm.
and stuff like that. And my husband Ted said to me, "Oh wow, you know, I wasn't excited before because I didn't think this was going to work. This
Wow.
is really going to work, he said. And I was like, yeah, that's the idea, honey. Like, that's why we have this virtual playground, because it is going to work. You're going to be able to do the exact things that you were able to do in real life here. And we haven't lost anything, you know? That's really important to stress, to hit on. It's why the metaverse is so important, and we should be pouring all of these resources into it. For me, building this was essentially a proof of concept. We don't know how much longer this sort of new reality is going to last. And I really wanted to sort of side with Celia and show the community at large that this can be done, and maybe in future years there will be an even better IndieCade Oasis, and I want to pass that torch to somebody else. For
Look
me,
forward to
it's
it.
a proof of, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a proof of concept for me, and I hope that people can walk it. There are things that I would change, or things that I didn't have time to do, and I hope that people will walk through it and see the potential, the possibilities, and go, oh yeah, I could definitely do this better, and then do it better. You
Well,
know,
well,
that's what it's all about.
right. Well, I feel like this is, especially these days, this is kind of a new form of reality for us. You called this, you said that we can do everything here that we do in real life. To me, this is real life, where this is the virtual world instead of the physical world. So, of course, I feel like, everything we can do in the physical world, we can also achieve in the virtual world, almost everything. So, yeah, I feel
I
like
think
this is the
I
new
think
reality. Yeah,
I think Celia and I are on that same page,
right.
but it's evangelizing it to everybody else that is so important. But yeah, really emphasizing and stressing that you can do anything here.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So,
Well, and
mhm,
I think just to follow up on what Jen's saying, I have to say I think it's amazing that Ted put the two of us together, because we really had only met very briefly at IndieCade events and hadn't
Yeah,
ever really, but we just
in the
have this.
past, Celia and I have said hi. Oh, it's nice to meet you again. No, Ted and I share the same sort of virtual world vision in a lot of ways.
mhm,
Um, I don't, we don't agree on everything, but we definitely have faith. Do you know what I mean? In sort of the concept of the virtual world and what it should look like. Yeah, it was amazing that he put us together. Sorry, I interrupted. Sorry.
Oh, well, I just wanted to add to what you were saying too, because I've been in Second Life since the beginning. I mean, I was a beta tester. This avatar is as old as Second Life, basically. It was made for me by Linden Lab, before you could even make an account.
mhm.
And I've studied virtual worlds. I've spent a lot of time here, both as a user and also as a scholar, observing people. And part of what I think is really powerful about this type of world in particular is the creativity. And this is where I think there's such a great fit with the indie community. I personally have used Second Life as a rapid idea prototyping environment for students for many years, because of this fact that people can, usually when you do 3D building, you do it in isolation in a program like Unity. But here, we can literally, Jen and I can literally sit down and go, hey, can you move that block over to the left? I prefer this color. Can we see what it looks like in red? And it's a very malleable, easy to work with environment in terms of just changing things and being able to share it with everyone right away. And that's something that I think a lot of developers could really get a lot out of as a creative tool. So, and then the community here is very creative as well. So I thought, well, I think I'd love to bring more of the Second Life populace, uh, to see what the indie game community is doing, and vice versa. So part of what Jen did, and we both did this a little bit, but we sort of curated things in here that we thought were really good displays of Second Life denizen creativity, right? So Jen can talk about a couple
Exactly.
of the things that she pulled out, for instance.
Not only rapid prototyping, just to piggyback off of what you said, Artemisia, but a vision board. Uh, Ted and I have a house here in Second Life, and it wasn't apparent to us right away, but the house that we currently live in looks almost exactly
Oh,
like
wow.
the Second Life house that we envisioned for ourselves. I know that Philip Rosedale in the past has said that he was a little bit frustrated and disappointed that it's a world where you could do literally anything, and a lot of people just build houses and put nice cars in front of them. But it's a Pinterest, a vision board for what you would like to see in your first life. And you're building a reality that you really dream of manifesting. And
Right.
my husband Ted and I absolutely have a home here in Second Life that we pay, sort of the equivalent of land taxes on.
Hmm.
And we were shocked when we realized that our first life had begun to meticulously resemble our second life. And I feel like that applies here, where we're really building sort of the play reality that we want to see in the first life.
It's funny you should mention that, Jen, because I wasn't really going to talk much about my virtual world research, but that is actually a finding of my research. Um, I talk about the fact that one of my subjects had this great quote, which I have in my book, Communities of Play, which is, "We make our avatars, and thereafter our avatars make us," which is sort of cribbed
Right.
from Marshall McLuhan. But everybody that I know that has spent any time in a world like this has had the experience that you just described.
I cut my hair like my avatar, and research has borne out
Me
the fact
too.
that people that people absolutely create themselves after their avatars. You create the avatar first, and you say, "This is who I want to be." And then real life follows. And yeah, exactly. And the
So
research
interesting.
proves it.
We
Yeah,
stick with
yeah.
what we know and what we're comfortable with in either
And then
world.
on the other side, there's also a phenomenon that I've observed, which is that I studied a lot of massively multiplayer online role playing games, and I
Hmm.
also studied these kinds of non game virtual worlds. And one thing that I found pretty consistently was that people in games are not doing a lot of role playing, but people in virtual worlds are. And so, behind us over there is the giant pirate ship that was my home in Second Life for many years until I lost the land that it was on. But I basically have been a pirate for a good period of my time here. Nowadays, I do a lot of historical role playing in a 1920s themed community. So also you can be anyone you want, even if that person is in a different place or time or line of work. And that also changes you. Taking on a different character than yourself also affects your real life in really interesting ways.
Of course, any type of embodiment. And this is why virtual reality is so significant in a social way. Embodiment builds empathy, and
Absolutely.
embodying somebody else builds empathy. I'm so excited to bring people who would traditionally be IndieCade attendees, but who might not have Second Life accounts, into the fold. And I'm so excited to evangelize the opposite direction too, and show people for whom gaming is essentially a way of life because they are in Second Life every day,
Right.
and showing them what IndieCade has to offer. So it's definitely a two-way street, and I think Artemesia feels the same way about that.
I think it's
Totally.
going to be
Yeah.
a good mix for sure. So I do want to, I know there's the viewers, I do want to let them know that right currently I believe the region is closed to the public, but It opens on Saturday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, SL time. Is that
That's right.
correct?
Yeah, we'll be having a big opening party. We're starting from 7 to 8 with a kind of warm up session for people who are making new avatars or bringing old avatars back.
Oh, nice.
And then from 8 to I think 10 Pacific, we're going to have a live concert as well as just probably some flash jams and socializing and hanging out and playing and exploring.
So at that time, it'll open to the public. If you look in the description of the video, I have the destination link and actually their website links as well, so you can get more information, the events calendar, and so forth. It is open to the public. Can you tell us more what the highlights will be, how people can participate? Do they need to register in advance, or what? How is that situation? Can anybody just come?
There is content that is only available to pass holders.
Okay.
But that tends to be Zoom conference content. So if you want
Okay.
to participate actively in some of the conferences and activities, you will want to be a pass holder. But IndieCade Oasis is just that, and it is free to everybody.
Nice. So the
Yeah,
Second
so
Life component is completely free.
there's a couple of ticket tiers, as Jen alluded to, and we also have streaming on our Twitch channel, which is also free. So for people who, you know, we do have these tickets. The tickets allow you to be in a Zoom room with the speakers and allow you to networking sessions and more kind of face-to-face interaction with participants. For the Second Life and Twitch components of IndieCade Anywhere and Everywhere are free to the public. So if you want to check out the Twitch channel, there'll be live streaming going on, usually a couple of live streams a day, and then a bunch of reruns. So one of the things we're doing is we're going to be live streaming all the finalists.
Oh,
So you can
nice.
tune in and watch people do playthroughs of those, and those will be rebroadcast. We're also going to have some really interesting keynotes and talks. I mentioned Elan Lee, who's one of our Trailblazer recipients, is going to be doing one of those. There'll be a few throughout the week. The festival goes from opens the whole festival opens tomorrow and goes through the 24th of October. So it's 9 days. And the programming is designed so that people from every time zone will have, it's not sort of 24/7 programming so much as just trying to make sure that every time zone has some accommodation. This area is going to be open 24 hours a day, basically, for the entirety of the festival. And we
Mhm.
really want to encourage people to use this as a place to hang out. If they want to chat or, catch up with people, it's Discord's great for some things, but if you just want to have a sort of casual social interaction, it's not the best environment. So I'm hoping that people will treat this environment kind of as the lounge for IndieCade Anywhere and Everywhere.
Mhm.
Me too. Um, Artemesia spoke to this earlier too, but games conferences in general are kind of a walled garden. They tend to be very expensive to attend. And many games conferences like E3, especially historically, were only available to people in the industry. And when we say industry, we mean like in a very mainstream way. And sometimes students can get a grant and attend a conference, as part of a grant, but otherwise, these things aren't very accessible. And I think IndieCade Anywhere and Everywhere, especially IndieCade Oasis, is a wonderful way to sort of dip your toes into the experience of a games conference, especially if you haven't had the opportunity to attend one before. It can be hard to make it out to one. You have to, there's airfare to consider. There's the length of time that a conference can stretch, and then there's the matter of actually purchasing tickets, which are oftentimes prohibitively expensive. And I think that Artemisia, Celia has done something really amazing this year in terms of accessibility every year, because IndieCade is probably the most accessible of all the games conferences. But this year, especially, I think everybody has adapted really well to the state of the world, and it benefits everybody who hasn't been able to attend a conference in years past.
Yeah, I think it's a great option to have for those, and I think it would be perfect as a kind of like a lobby playground, like you said. I am going to get you guys to give me a tour of the place so we can get some more highlights and see what's available here for people. But before we get into the tour, I just wanted to ask a few questions, especially to you, Artemisia, about your rich history with Second Life and virtual spaces. You touched on the fact that you wrote a book called Communities of Play on MIT Press that explores emergent fan cultures in digital worlds, digital worlds where the actions by players do not always coincide with the intentions of the game's designers. For example, your book explores players from there.com and URU, I think Ages Beyond Mist. Can you tell us a bit about the book and why you decided to explore this topic?
Yeah, so I've been a game designer for all of my adult life since the early 1980s, and I always worked on multiplayer games. And I was very fascinated, even from my earliest career, at how people's behavior changed when they were interacting through a game. And in the mid
Mhm.
90s, the online game industry started to really take off, especially with things like, well, the first one was Ultima Online. And I started learning about these really interesting phenomena that were happening that were not intended by the designers. The first thing I caught wind of was people auctioning off their Ultima Online accounts on eBay back in
Right.
1997 or something. And then I just began to be really fascinated with these large scale social emergent behavior patterns that were happening. Another one was the mafia in The Sims Online. And so the way I stumbled onto this particular subject was I was also a beta tester in there as well as in Second Life around the same time. And I was trying to find people from The Sims Online because I had gone there and it was sort of empty. And they told me about Uru. And Uru is a massively multiplayer game that takes place in the Mist world. For
Right.
people old enough to know what Mist is, it was regarded by many when it came out in 1993 as the Citizen Kane of video games. That's what a lot of people referred to it as. It was sort of the first really work of art in the game medium. And so Uru had attracted this really, really ardent fan community because these were people that had been playing Myst games on their own for many years that suddenly discovered that there were other people who also loved this world that they could share it with. And Uru was open for about 6 months. It wasn't even, I don't think it ever actually fully opened. I think it was still in beta. And the publisher decided to pull the plug on it. And as a result, about 10,000 players were
Whoa.
left in as what I call game refugees. So
Yeah.
they were suddenly homeless. They didn't have a place to be together and play together, which is what they really wanted. And so they did a bunch of research and they started to relocate into virtual worlds, and specifically Second Life and there were the two most settled. There were about 200 players who came here and who are, by the way, still active in Second Life, and then about 300 that I studied who went into there. And what they did that was so fascinating, and we're actually going to see a really fantastic example of that here in this build because we have one of those Uru refugees creative work here. What they did was they created a kind of hybrid culture that brought together aspects of Uru and aspects of the virtual worlds they were in. So I kind of equate it to like if you go to Little Italy and New York and you see Italian Americans, they're sort of bringing together American culture and Italian culture and sort of creating this new hybrid. And that's what these players did. And what fascinated me about it was, first of all, that they were so creative that they took advantage of the tools and they taught themselves. You know, this was in the early 2000s when all of this stuff was new. Second Life didn't have meshing, nobody knew how to make 3D models, but they all taught themselves and learned. And one of the one of the areas we have here was created by somebody that was actually part of that Uru refugee community. That's kind of a tribute to the Mist games, which we'll show you when we give you the tour. So part of what fascinates me about this is I'm really interested in the sort of blurry line between play and creativity. And I think that also speaks to my interest in indie games. And in the book, the new book, which is called IndieCade A History, what I talk about is the fact that the indie game community is a community of play and practice, because for us, play and practice are in a constant dialogue loop. We play each other's games, we give each other feedback, we help each other solve technical problems and creative problems, we inspire each other. And so a space like this for me is it sort of echoes that idea of play and practice coming together, that we are both playing and being creative at the same time.
That's amazing. So you're like one of the OG gamers.
Yeah, kind of.
That's awesome. So is that how you found out? Because I know you've been in Second Life since it started. Is that how you found out about SL, and you've been here for 17 years? What are some of the highlights of your involvement over the past 17 years?
Gosh, I don't even remember. I mean, I know that I think what happened was that I met some of the original founders, I think Corey Andreka and a couple of other people at a conference or something, and they invited me to beta test and made this avatar for me. And, you know, I've gone through several different experiences here. I studied the Uru refugees initially, and then there were a group of there.com closed, and there were a group of people who had a pirate community there, and they came to Second Life and started a pirate sim here. And so I started hanging out with them. I always loved pirates and always loved, read a lot about female pirates, and I thought, oh, I could be a pirate here. So the ship behind us, which was my house,
Mhm.
was built by another guy who turned out also to be a Mist fan. Um, and it's made entirely out of prims. Did we,
I'm
Nova, did
gonna.
we figure out how many prims it was? It's,
I think you said it was around 800 prims.
Wow.
yeah.
And I will be honest, Linden has really supported us in having objects that are 800 prims. We have a very large prim limit to work with, and we could conceivably set out several more pirate ships even at this time. So, very grateful for that. Yes, it's a lot of prims.
I feel like one of the neat things about this sim is that in a funny way, it's also a bit of a Second Life history museum, because it has items in it that span back pretty far in the history of this world. Was
There
that
is that. I really wanted a lot of, fancy high texture mesh because gamers are going to be in here, and I want to say this is what Second Life could look like,
Right.
join in, open up your blender because you can do that now. Um, but there is definitely some stuff that isn't exactly available on Marketplace that Artemesia and a friend of Artemesia's, Raina, who built the beautiful Mysterious Woods by hand, have brought in. And so you can really see the pirate ship is a great example of Second Life during what a lot of people would say is sort of a golden era of creativity.
There's
And
nothing like the classics, right?
right, exactly.
well, I think
And
yeah, I think part of what I find amazing about that ship and why I love it so much is it's made out of 800 prims. That means that he had to take 800 separate objects, shape them, texture them, link them together, and script them.
Wow.
I mean, it's an
Raina put
epic.
it well. She said, torturing prims into what you want them to do.
Right.
And that's so true. And yeah, there's nothing like it. It's definitely the fact that the pirate ship still looks so good is such a testament to what people were doing in 2007 and earlier. Like
Yeah.
the pirate ship looks great, Artemisia. It's freaking huge, first off, which is what we needed. Um, but it's also fun. Like, it's just fun to run around. It's so fun to explore.
If people want to explore, I actually put a couple of cannons on the deck. They're scripted, but the script is broken. But you could still shoot cannons out of them. Yeah,
Well,
so I mean, I think it speaks to the ingenuity that
mhm.
people have here, and also the same thing with, I love game developers who bend things that aren't supposed, who use things for things that are not intended. Like one of our developers created a switchboard. He took a 1927 switchboard and he rigged it up with Arduinos to make a game where you have to patch calls together, or a line wobbler, which is made with an LED strip. Like people just taking all kinds of wacky stuff and just making it do things it wasn't intended for.
Right.
That to me,
That's called a merchant play, Strawberry. And
exactly.
it's called that because it just emerges no matter how one might try to fight it emerging. And that's a huge part of innovation, is doing things that aren't meant to be done, bending rules and breaking them. You have to have an understanding of the rules in order to break them, and that's how we create new special things.
We have
It's
a
all torturing prims is what it is.
I don't know if you guys noticed this, but we actually have some visitors in here running around doing things
Yes.
behind us.
I
I
think
actually
that's
just
the
asked
strawberry
Nova.
effect. Yeah.
I just asked Nova, is the region open to public? Because I think it wasn't supposed to be, but I believe it is.
And
So
my answer is I don't know
It is
how to
now.
make it not open. So if people want to stop by and watch me put the finishing, just don't bug me. That's all I ask. But if you want to, oh, sorry guys, I can go if you like, says Cynics. You know what? If it I forget that everyone can also hear us in world
yeah,
right
because we
now.
have their speak.
Um,
Yeah.
it's okay. It's absolutely all right if you
I
want to hang out and even demonstrate stuff in the background while we talk about
I
it.
was
I
gonna
don't
Yeah.
see why
say
not.
I love it that there's a giant robot on the Ferris wheel
I
right now.
just saw that. I was like, what is that on the Ferris wheel? Can we
Should we
actually start the tour now?
I was just
I
gonna
think I'm
say
done.
Why
Let's walk
not?
let's
around.
do
Yeah.
it. Let's go wander around
Great.
and check
All
Okay.
this baby
right.
out.
Let me just stand up. So you guys are gonna show
Yep.
me.
Oh, and
Wow.
flying is still turned on, so uh,
No
leave,
problem.
leave it to Toa to have oddities from the community. Hi,
So
Cynics.
what did you want to show us first, the
Well, why don't
viewers?
we
Mhm.
start with Mysterious Woods, which is we are fortunate enough to have a creator and artist
Mhm.
um, who uh, recreated one of her works of art for IndieCade Oasis.
We're just gonna walk
So,
there, or are you teleporting
Yeah,
me?
it's right here. We're gonna go
Oh,
up
okay.
this.
oh, we
Oh, right.
can
So sure,
teleport now, but yeah.
that's
Let's go
Uh,
fine.
up the ramp. It kind of has a nice vista coming in. So this is actually from a level from the Mist game called Channelwood,
that's right.
Oh.
and originally it was created in there. Brina,
Mhm.
and one of her other avatars, she she made this, and what she did that was really cool was that she made it as a kit. So all of these trees and the stairs and the platforms are all separate pieces. So that enables people to sort of build whatever they want with it. And if you want to go up the spiral staircase over here, or you can go up there's a crawl rope right here as well.
And you, for the moment, you can also fly
Yeah.
up there, which
Yeah,
is
let's fly.
the
Spiral
easiest
staircases.
way.
I
Yeah.
think
Spiral
that, yeah,
staircases kind of make me dizzy.
yeah, she actually
Mhm.
put some safety nets on there so people can't.
But if you are a Mist fan, as I am, this should all be looking very familiar. Channelwood was, just speaking personally, definitely my favorite age. Is what the different levels are called in Mist, the different islands. Channelwood was definitely my favorite age. There's definitely something that sparks the imagination about a civilization that links a bunch of tree houses together. So
Very
this
cool.
was, yeah. And, Artemisia has a, is it okay to say this live? Artemisia, a background in uh, theme park design.
Yes.
Oh,
And one of the things that was really important to us in building the IndieCade Oasis was something called Weenies, which is something, a huge landmark that you can see from ground level. And this was the first weenie that we had settled on. We definitely knew that we wanted Channelwood to be visible as you arrive at the island. Because Artemesia has a background in thematic design, one of the first people I spoke to after she brought me on board was an old friend of mine named Dave Gottwald, who is a professor of theme park design and thematic design. He and I met in a tiki bar when I first became a Second Life user. And at that time, I was also a community manager in the very mainstream games industry. And I was really fascinated by what was at that time Dave's master's thesis. So fascinated that I edited it for fun. And Dave was mystified by this, but I said to him, it's all one thing. It's all virtual worlds. This is my field of interest. And so he was the first person I reached out to because I wanted to be able to keep up with Celia, Artemisia. And I asked Dave for a crash course in thematic design. And he gave me a reading list. He was wonderful. He consulted with me. He gave me a reading list. And I put the draft of the map down in front of the alumni tent, along with the final version of the map. And I am really excited to say that the draft looks a whole lot like the final version of this island.
nice. So you
So
Yeah,
thank
it's
you,
succeeded.
really.
bless you, Dave. Like, I'm so glad that I talked to him. And I because I said to him, I just want to understand what Celia is saying. I just
Listen,
and
I, wa- I
very
don't
grateful.
I don't want to cut you off because I love what you're talking about, but I want to make sure we get to tour a little bit more. So I was going to suggest maybe we could hit the escape room and the theme park
Yes, let's
as,
do it.
Well,
as the
yeah,
main
let's
So
drop off of here.
I'm just gonna follow you guys. I do want to mention that
Toa
we're
is
wearing t-shirts. Hi Toa.
Clippy right now.
Yeah, very
Hi, Clippy.
cute.
Cynics, feel free. Come on.
So
I love
we
it.
we can fly over there if you
Okay,
want.
I'll try to
If
keep
that'll be
up with you. I don't know where Nova went. Hang on, let me see. I
Oh,
did want
I
to
just
Oh
mention
dear, I think
took a
I think that
shortcut.
you
I
guys
think that
might have to teleport me because I've lost you now. I did
oh
want to
so
mention that we're
Oh,
wearing Indicate t-shirts. I know that there's going to be some freebies available for attendees that come here.
right.
Is this t-shirt option or another t-shirt
no,
option?
this is actually our
This
staff
will be,
t-shirts.
Oh, so I'm
yes. If
staff
you
now.
see someone, oh yeah, if you see someone wearing this shirt, it means they can probably help.
Okay,
Um,
that's good to know.
if you would like to teleport, there are these arrow signs that are made by the Black Forest is the name of his marketplace shop, and he also makes a lot of board games. I feel like the Board Game Shack is basically the Black Forest demo because he's just so prolific. Um, but let's see what is his
So what are
name?
you showing me, Artemisia? I see you teleported.
Arduin
So
We're
Schwartzman.
looking at.
so this is the amusement park, boardwalk area. We kind of wanted to do something like a, Jersey Shore or Santa Monica Pier kind of vibe. So we have a roller coaster, merry-go-round, and a
Nice.
couple of other amusement park rides over here.
And
That's
all of
right.
this will be
There's
open
also,
Saturday night, 7 p.m., right?
Yes.
yes, there's
Awesome.
also an in progress cove where if you go underwater, because I was traumatized as a 6-year-old by the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea ride at
Mhm.
Disney World. And anytime I see water in Second Life, I think it should be rebuilt right there. So, but here is the Boardwalk Carnival theme park for a sort of more traditional style of play. A fortune telling collection of arcade machines is over
Oh,
here.
fun.
And then for more arcade games,
Oh,
there is the IndieCade Arcade,
I
which
see that.
is to our left.
And then,
Um,
yeah, then we also have the two pirate ships here. The
Yeah.
giant
that's
one
right.
is mine, and I won't take you in it right now, but it's got a bunch of little fun things to explore. And
Yeah, we definitely want to reward exploration. And I think that there are a few different secrets on the island that will reward exploration. Um,
you want to go over to the escape room?
Sure. Which way is that, or will you teleport me?
It's
Or
use
oh,
this
right.
just a
sign right
sign.
I
here.
see. So I can just click on that.
That's
Oh,
correct.
awesome. Took me to the escape room.
Yeah, these signs are
There
really
you
great.
are.
Perfect. Ooh.
So
So you can do the
this is
escape room with a bunch of friends? Is that how it works?
Yep.
that is absolutely correct. I have
Yay.
taken Artemesia through. I really recommend. It's timed. This is
Oh,
something that Mad P built. And Mad P is an amazing design collective that creates really wonderful video game style experiences, point and click adventure games. Um, I'm sure everyone who enjoys adventure games is already familiar with them,
oh yeah, for
but
sure.
this is something that I'm really excited for maybe gamers who haven't been inside of Second Life before to sort of try their hand at. It's timed. It gives you 1 hour to complete the escape room.
Mhm.
Uh, there are a number of, I've put these pointers, these finger
Yeah,
cursors around the island. And in this case, this has instructions for the escape room, but I've put them around the island with the understanding that not everybody who is attending IndieCade this year will be familiar with Second Life's UI.
right.
And so these pointers sort of tutorialize the island and give it that newbie island feel.
That's great. Yeah, I just showed it on the stream. You can just click that and you will get the instructions for the escape room and I guess wherever part of the region that you're at. And I love these colorful arrows that tell you, that direct you wherever you want to go. They have a carnival and board games, all kinds of stuff. And a sandbox and playground so people can res stuff there. And is
Yeah.
that what?
So that's where we're
Exactly.
going to have our flash jams, where
Nice.
people are going to be called at random times to come in. We'll give them some funny parameters to play with to come up with game ideas.
Yep.
We're also going to
Great.
have some LARPs. I have a couple of people that want to come in and run some LARPs, and we're going to be doing a LARP kind of a workshop for people who want to try to translate LARPs into Second Life.
Nice. You got a lot of stuff going on. Again, this is going on until, what was the ending date?
October 24.
Yep.
Okay.
I think it's gonna close right around closing time, which is midday on the 24th.
Okay,
So,
great.
wow, look at all these people. It's so funny.
I know we just we have the region open, which I didn't expect to, but that's great. Was there any other area that you want to kind of show the viewers real quick before we?
Well, we're
Mhm.
right next to the Help Shack,
Oh, that's
um,
good.
which is understandably people might need assistance
Right.
on the island. So I plan to be logged in full time,
Manning the
taking rest
station. Yeah.
breaks. That's right.
Right.
And let's see. I well, if we
I just
go,
I just sent
mhm.
you a message.
Oh,
Looks like we are hitting the top of the hour, so I do want need to wrap up the show. Was there anything
okay.
else that you wanted to share, Artemisia or Nova, before we wrap it up? But I'm so excited. Again, to my viewers, if you're watching this, check the description of the YouTube channel of this video and you'll get all the information. We got their websites, we got the destination link, and it's open right now, so you can come check it out for a sneak peek. Hopefully, Nova won't
Yes.
mind people walking around a little bit.
A very sneak peek.
I
So,
totally thought
pardon my mess. But you're absolutely free to actually, if you want to beta test it and offer suggestions, if there's something that isn't working for you, I absolutely invite that before IndieCade opens proper. So,
Great.
anyone who's currently here right now, feel free.
Fantastic. And I do want to give you, Artemisia, an opportunity. Anything else you want to say to the viewers before we wrap it up?
You know what? I just wanted to thank you
Mhm.
for everything you guys have done for us, both Linden Lab giving us this island and also you highlighting it and taking the time to interview us about it. It's just been such a great experience to work with you guys. And I want to just thank everybody at Linden for being so supportive of this
Yeah,
project.
I feel really supported by Linden, and as Celia said, I'm so grateful.
Well, it's our pleasure. We're so glad to have you guys aboard, and we're looking forward to all the indicators. I don't know, is that what you guys call them?
Yeah.
Come into Second Life and hang out with us and so forth. So again, guys, check out the description of the video for all the information. Next week, I'm back with another show. Next Friday, we'll be back at the regular day and timing. So make sure you read our blogs. And thank you again to Artemisia and Nova for joining me today and for giving us this little tour. And again, don't forget to visit open Saturday, October. What is Saturday? I'm just trying to remember the date now. 17th at 7 p.m. It's going to be open to the public. It is open right now. You can come by, but just try to, try to keep it a little bit toned down. But I will see you guys next week. Take care, everyone. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay home, stay virtual. Bye.
Hi, thank you.